public hearing is now called to order at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, January 8th of 2019. This hearing is being held as required by the provisions of Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth, an act relative to the protection of the wetlands is most recently amended. Notice of the time and place of this hearing was published in the Advocate on January 3rd of 2019. It was also posted in the town clerk's office. Persons wishing to be heard will be called in the following order, and state ethics laws require me to tell you that this is being taped for broadcast and may even be going out live. So first item on the agenda, minutes for approval. This is from our November 27 meeting. I had no changes to suggest. I don't know if anybody else has any.
I did send
Yeah, you
one
did.
thing in.
Yeah, attendance.
Yeah.
So with that being said, entertain a motion to accept minutes as amended.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
So cool. The meeting mail, Mary Lou, do we have any meeting mail?
No, I don't think we do. Nothing that I can think of offhand. Yeah, that's a good thing. No letters from DEP or EPA or, there's a couple of things I gotta tell you about later, but
Okay,
nothing important.
we'll do that under agent report. So next will be, under old business, we have an NOI for DPM Development off north side of Blaze Drive, file number SE 001-530. A notice of intent was filed by DPM Development Corp. for property located at the north side of Blaze Drive, map 12, lots 18A.1, 11C, and 11D. The applicant proposes to construct a 17-lot subdivision off the north side of Blaze Drive within the 100-foot, within the buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. The applicant is represented by Jeff Tallman of SciTech Incorporated, planning subdivision plan of Moniz Estates. That plan date is July 26th of 2018.
Yes, and we have an email somewhere from Jeff Tallman asking to continue again.
Okay. Still
Here it
working
is.
with-
On behalf of DPM, the applicant on the notice of intent for Moniz Estates, I respectfully request that the public hearing scheduled for January 8th be continued until January 22nd.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to continue until January 22nd.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That's unanimous. Okay, new business. Baseline documentation report, Jack Sidar, Buzzards Bay Coalition.
Hello,
All
everyone.
right, hi Jack, please tell me that I pronounced your name correctly.
Yep, you did,
Okay,
yep.
good.
So yeah, my name's Jack Sidar. I'm with the Buzzards Bay Coalition. I'm here tonight, hopefully to get the chairman's authorization to sign a baseline documentation report for a conservation restriction that the town holds on 4 properties in Acushnet. I've got a few maps just to refresh people's memory of what properties we're talking about, but over along the Acushnet River.
I might hold this one up for the camera while you talk about the others.
Perfect, thank you.
And so essentially what the baseline documentation report is a current conditions report, and they're required when a CR gets recorded, and the conservation restriction for this property was recorded November 29th. So we've compiled that baseline on your guys' behalf, and I think it went out for you guys to review electronically. And so I was just here to answer any questions you might have and hopefully get the signature. And then once you guys have signed it, we'll sign it, and we'll just distribute it to both groups.
So just for the purposes of anybody who's watching, you want to put names to these 4 boxes?
Sure. So this is our Keating Woods
Right.
parcel. So this is the newest acquisition that's open to the public. All the properties add up to about 30 or so acres. This one was obviously the biggest. It is the only one that's actually open to the public. These ones don't allow public access right now. Hopefully in the future, once they're cleaned up,
Yeah, exactly.
we'll allow some access down there. So that's the Keating Woods. This one I believe we call Riverside and.
Yeah, because it's proximity to Mark's Park.
Yep.
Yep.
And then, Coelho and Wagala. and then
Wallaga?
mix- Yep, I'm gonna
Wallaga,
flip those
yeah.
last two.
No, I think
but-
that's well under there. Okay. Cool. So, Marilyn, anything else we should know about this?
I'm
So-
trying to remember, I didn't really have any questions about the, report except for maybe, some captions under the pictures that say,
Okay.
you know, this is this property looking east, or this, you
Mhm.
know, otherwise, it looked beautiful.
Yeah, I was only able to skim it, but I didn't see anything that jumped out as problematic.
So what access
What about
does the
main-
public have to there? What's
Keating
there?
Woods.
The Keating Woods.
Just
So
trails,
there's,
or-
yep, there's, 2 trail loops, and also the Council on Aging has allowed people to park in the back parking area, so we created a trailhead there. There's a,
Yeah, right there,
so
yeah.
a loop that goes through a meadow area that was created, and, some views down at the river itself.
So it's walkable now? It's cleared?
Yep.
And is the plan to connect any of these?
That's the long-term
Oh.
goal, yep, is to create, sort of like a greenway with some trails connecting the properties.
Yeah, and slightly related to this, I had seen Maureen a couple of months ago, asking her about the septic project. and she said
Right,
that was
yeah.
taking pretty well, and if you wanna give us
Yeah,
an update
so
on
yeah.
that, as much as you know, I mean,
Right, so yeah, that's Maureen's specialty,
Okay,
but,
yeah.
it looks good as far as I can see. I
Yeah.
think it's
The grass
working
is going over.
efficiently, and yeah.
yeah, but it's also separating out the nutrients the way that they had wanted.
Right,
Is that
yeah.
pancake, that new
I think that was the one.
Yeah, the
pancake,
denitrifying.
Yeah,
type,
yeah, it's a
a
good
layer?
test site.
How do they know? That
Well, they're tracking.
it's separating out the nutrients? You know, what do? You test the soil underneath, or what?
Right, I don't know, that's a good question.
Well, we're gonna have Maureen,
Maureen, yeah?
I mean,
You wanna reach
Yeah,
out?
but-
Maureen give us an update, yeah.
Is there any biking in this?
You could, it's allowed, it would be mostly probably mountain biking, and
Yeah.
there's some wet spots, so there's some bog boards, to get through, more wet areas, so it'd
Which,
be a little
if you
difficult.
ever get it all connected,
Yeah,
it's a thought.
yeah, definitely a consideration.
Nice.
Is there a limitation to the conservation restriction? Or is this now until forever?
It's, yeah,
Yeah.
it's in perpetuity, we own the development rights to this property, to those 4 properties. And as
Nice.
Jack had said, you know, the hope is, once the PCB cleanup is done along the shoreline there, that people will actually be able to access those, but for the moment, you don't wanna be stirring up soil and releasing these things into the air. They're still somewhat volatile.
How many of these are throughout the town? Is that, this is the largest one?
Well, so there are some others,
Oh, there's a bunch.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the Sawmill, and there's
Hamlin
the
Street.
Palm,
yeah.
and the Hamlin Street now, and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, anybody else with questions for Jack?
Nope.
So, yeah, we'll sign that and get on with the next thing then. We're gonna hang on to a couple of these for the record?
Sure.
Yeah. I like this.
Want this one?
You want that?
Want this one back?
Come back, if you guys can leave.
I'll give you 2 and give you 1.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
We'll do it.
Should do it.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thanks, Jack.
Thank
Great.
you.
All right. Next, RDA Long Plain Cranberry Nominee Trust, Susan Amaral trustee, adjacent to 28 Lake Street. A request for determination of applicability was filed by Long Plain Cranberry Nominee Trust, Susan Amaral trustee, for property located adjacent to 28 Lake Street, Acushnet, Mass. Map 19, lots 38A and 38E. The applicant requests whether the boundaries of resource areas depicted on plans or maps are accurately delineated The applicant is represented by Richard Rayone of Prime Engineering Incorporated. Plan name is Wetland Bog Delineation Plan. That plan is dated December 13 of 2018. So,
Well,
I'm not Richard Graham. I'm Julie Goodwin. I did the bog report that was submitted. We had a site visit on Saturday. Most of you were there. It was very wet. Essentially, the gist of the site visit was, I believe that the extents of the wetland bog are where the bog has been up until the late 70s. After that point, the adjacent gravel pit was lowered to become part of the bog so that modern machinery can go back and forth. So this was backed up with aerial footage. You can see the original very irregular shape of the bog in the report. You can see the outline of that and how that stayed from the 1800s up until I think they finished the new bog shape in the 90s. I also took, I think, over 10 soil samples at different areas comparing the two, and I did one live as best as I could with it submerged. And that did back up what I expected to see and where I've seen in other places where bog shapes have changed in the past 20 years. We ended up with the layering of sand and peat, very, very thin layers where they were using that to grow cranberries all across the bog. But in the newer areas, we would get refusal at about 20 inches where it would be packed gravel, so the auger wouldn't go through. And then with a little bit of work on the other older side of the cranberry bogs, with the hand auger, we would get through that 20, 30 inches of growing medium. And then the auger can go straight through because it's just naturally occurring muck and peat underneath there. So we've got one part naturally occurring cranberry bog and one part new bog that was made just to kind of even out the shape and to grow more cranberries. And this is a true RDA. We don't know what we want to do. We just want to know more about the land.
you said this is Conrad Richards' property, right?
yeah, yes, what?
Yeah. I remember it was many years ago. So,
Yes, I guess it's his daughter's.
so for those of you that were there on Saturday or have been there before, what comments or feedback you would have or questions? Julie?
Well, the soil tests were dramatic, the difference. I mean, when she hit the peat on the old side, the auger went down to the ground, you know, whereas it wouldn't go anywhere, you know, on the other side. So it was pretty,
So you're saying this part was where the auger really had its fight?
this was, we were over
This was,
here
so
in the
that,
older
so that
part,
had been
and then we were over
gravel
here.
and then covered to become a bog, and that had been the bog for however long, whatever length of time it was. Okay.
Right. And yeah, and you can see it in the aerial photo, there's
Sure.
no bug on the edges there.
Yeah, I guess this was based on that, this upland, wetland line is based on the old bog.
Yeah, that's what I saw in the field. That's what my best guess was, because in the 1800s they didn't go, that's enough bog for me. They went right to where the peat stopped naturally occurring, because if they're gonna harvest, they're gonna harvest, so.
Yeah, so that's where this was derived from that research.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to circulate that report to you earlier because it is very persuasive.
They tried to determine the original wetland line as opposed to the man-made.
Well, the original bog would have been wetlands,
Would have
right?
been
Right.
wetlands.
And then, yeah, then the man-made stuff would have been up originally.
Right, so you're just trying to determine that.
That
Yeah,
100-foot
that's what
buffer
they're
would
trying to
start from
determine.
around here, so.
Because it'll make a difference if they wanna do something with the upland stuff, it'll be a
Right.
lot easier.
Right, yeah.
If you abandon a peat bog, what happens to it? It just grows over, right?
It grows over. So if they were to never touch this, again, I think there would be a distinct difference in what would grow in the old gravel pit, new bog portions. You would get upland plants, you would get white pine, and you can, actually, there's a couple little things of white pine growing in there, but when they're babies, you can't really judge. And in the peat area, I would expect those cranberries to kind of stick around because they are a wetland plant, but I would expect oak, red oak to come in, not red oak, white oak to come in, and other wetland plants to start colonizing in that area, because once you get past the growing medium, it is very acidic and it is very peaty.
And it doesn't drain.
It does not drain. We saw that when we were out there. You can see the marked area of where the water was standing. I can't tell because I'm not that good. If we had a survey, it would be interesting to see if that was the lower area of the bog. It is, but I wonder if it would be that dramatic where you
That
would see.
defined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're here to accept this plan, is that what that is?
Yes, that's,
Here to ask is that, when we look at this, we agree with the lines that's been drawn, so we're delineating wetland from upland,
yes.
okay? And that's all this is, there's no,
There's not even a twinkle of what could be.
right.
It is just what we think is up.
And it
and
will
we-
have to be flagged if that were the case. That was the state. All right.
I'll make a motion to accept this plan.
To give a, on this case, it'll have to be a negative determination because it's an RDA, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
I make a motion to accept this as a negative RDA.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Any abstaining? I don't think I heard everybody vote.
Give me,
He's reviewing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still looking around.
since it's just to say, yeah, we think this is where it is, and everything would have to be further research before anything is actually done,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I would say we can let this go as it is right now.
Okay, so
I'd like to see this actually looked at when it was dry.
But that was before anybody's time.
No, but
weather conditions.
it's.
Oh, I
in
see,
the-
when it's not
In
raining.
the warm weather, it's gonna be dry. In the summertime, there's not gonna be standing water.
Mhm.
And when you go to take a soil sample, it's gonna come out in the auger, it's not gonna sluice out of the auger. That was basically what was happening to you.
Did you see though when we were able to get
Oh,
through the crust and you could
definitely-
sink it in?
Definitely, but,
We've had more rain than
I
God
mean,
knows
this is,
right
I
right
did
now,
it in Irvington.
this
It's not
is kinda
snow.
like
Exactly.
really random as far as, I think this is a really random, it's not like defined line. It's-
So if I were
Best
to go out
guess.
and do it, I didn't mean to interrupt, if I were to go out to do it, it would be, because I can't use vegetation because it's a monoculture. If I were to delineate it based on soil samples and do it the traditional way, it would be some wacky, like convoluted line. So I admit it is loose. It's loose, but given the circumstances and how disturbed.
Oh, no, it's, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that it's not a close estimation, because I'm sure it's pretty close to being right, but just,
Well, it also kind of follows the old bog line.
right.
Mm.
you know,
Yeah, I think that's the key.
It's
right there.
superimposed
Yeah,
from
that
the old
makes
bog.
sense, yeah.
Okay, so,
It was the best bog visit I've ever been to. I think-
Like, I have to give her credit
So
for
what
the
we're
effort
looking
she
for,
made.
I'm good with
Yeah,
what we're
that was
looking for
good.
tonight.
yeah,
I wanted it to be a little
Learning
bit,
experience.
No, she really put in a lot of effort to define the soil samples
right.
for us
Good.
on that Saturday.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
All right, so that's unanimous then. Thank you.
Take a look in the summer.
But we'll have to go back, right?
We'll go to Heidi.
Yeah, have a great.
Visitor views.
Yeah?
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you, it was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you all. And you'll probably see me, not too soon though. We've got some work to do.
Sign that RDA.
How much property is there over there?
The entire property?
Back where we were, around the bog.
I just looked at the bog.
It's probably set up.
I'm a terrible engineer.
We gotta check off maybe the
Not
two
more
more
than-
back, but.
10 acres of uplands total, so it's pretty small.
Mostly bog. Okay.
What she said up today.
Upland,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what you're asking, then how much bog?
Right, but I thought you said mostly. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so, next, agent updates.
Yes, okay, first thing is filing deadlines for 2019. Take what you like, pass them around, take a look. Yeah, we highlighted the ones that were out of the norm, and
I don't make color printer now.
I took yours. I'm gonna send yours to the engineers, they all can color.
Is this 50? Isn't this go on our website?
Yeah, we can put it on the website, that's a good idea.
I was kind of playing around in there today. Oops. I apologize.
Website.
Yeah, it's fine,
Deadlines. Okay. So, you don't see any problems with it, do you? Anywhere that's gonna be a, you know, a holiday or a,
So, I guess the answer should be obvious, but it's not. Why June 27th as opposed to June 28th, is the number of days?
Memorial Day?
No,
No?
That's June
4th of
20th.
July, was it?
Oh,
No.
4th of July?
No, was it, what happened?
Yeah, no, that's the deadline, so yeah, that must be for the 4th of July.
That's the
Because
one
the
I
meeting's
called
the
her
ninth.
on, right?
No one's in the office.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
it is,
this
yeah.
is the one I called her on,
Yeah, because,
so I
So
spoke
that's,
to
so
her
you're,
myself.
so you're given that day off as your, okay. That'll be your
that's,
July 4th holiday.
Right, but
Well,
for
no,
the
it's-
publishing,
right, it's for the ad,
Has
to
to
get
be.
the ad in
no,
on time.
Because of the paper.
right.
Right, so that's why we have these
Yes.
final deadlines.
Yeah.
They really call the shots.
So
We
it's
do
Yeah,
that.
like this,
okay.
that's a lot of meetings.
It's not that many.
24 to be exact.
Surprise, surprise.
It's twice a month.
But, and we don't have anybody's birthday or any Valentine's Day. Remember that guy complained about Valentine's Day, having a meeting on Valentine's Day that night?
There you go.
You know, remember that? Oh, he was mad. Everybody knows you go to dinner on Valentine's Day. So with this year, we don't have anything going on Valentine's
We
Day.
don't go on that long.
You know,
Yeah.
Go to dinner after.
everybody goes to dinner on Valentine's Day, you go like the night after when tables are open.
Yeah, and they have
And
a
is that
selected
selected menu?
food
Yeah.
that have set things
I don't know,
here
can
we
we have a
go
meeting on
before.
Lincoln's birthday?
Why is it here?
February 12th.
Oh, I'm out.
Oh, yeah, but that's
Right,
not,
you
that's
know
not
that.
President's Day.
Of course, don't you?
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
remember
no.
that? The 22nd is
Specifically to
Washington, right?
Abraham. Yeah,
But, yeah,
okay. We got our meeting dates, filing dates, site visit dates, that's good.
Subject to change.
Right.
And what's the latest on Peckham Road, anything?
yes, Peckham Road, well, there isn't any real change, you know, I don't think anything's been happening over there. Every time I drive by it, you know, eyeball it, but I haven't seen anything different. But, Jamie did ask that I have you guys vote to, lift the enforcement order that I gave him back before he, before they straightened out the
Mhm.
silt fence and all that, you know. So, yeah, just if you guys have it in you.
We'll have to make another set.
Have you been out there since they did all that stuff?
I have been out there since they did it, I have not been out there since I went out there. So it's probably been, a couple of weeks since I've been there. But like I
So,
said, I don't think
because
anybody's
of
walking out
the
there.
enforcement order, the only thing that they could do was
Fix,
Put the
fix
silt
this,
fence
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
undo
and they did.
undo
Well, and they did, and they, in the spring, they're going to, the plan is to restore the areas that were
Mhm.
destroyed, that were actually wet.
Right.
you know.
It makes more
So
sense
there's a
to do
plan,
that
there's
anyway.
another consultant.
chairman had a
actually, that they're
request, too.
hiring to make it
Hmm?
quick.
For that pile that they have.
I mean, the neighbor did.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
not,
the neighbor?
no, that's,
Yeah.
oh, you mean up top, near the neighbor,
The
or
stuff that
down below?
Eversource is putting on Almeida's property?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that changing at all, and I haven't seen any signs that that's changed either. I did ask ask Jamie Bissonette to ask Mr. Aruda to do that next, to move those files. But it has been very wet, so that might be one reason not to. But yeah, if you want, I can, you know, we can do another site visit out there before you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
vote
let's
on
do
it.
it.
Okay,
I think it's due process for that project.
yeah, that makes sense.
Keep on it.
Is it first? Okay, next thing I have, a couple of things. The, Buzzards Bay National Estuary Project, from whom we get a lot of help,
Yes.
is, working on an elevation benchmark program here where they wanna put basically measuring sticks of some sort, I'm not sure. Well, actually, there's pictures, of what they wanna do. It's basically he calls it a monument, but he wants to measure, climate change, basically, in the salt marsh. And one of the sites he wants to do is in Acushnet. So they went to the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen said, yes, that's fine with us, because it's, you know, town property. And then, he's planning to bring it in front of us with an RDA, and, so, you know, this is just their information about it anyway. I don't know that I could, let me see. Study of salt marsh loss, sea level rise, and habitat change. As part of this effort, the Buzzards Bay NEP will install reference elevation benchmark monuments in uplands adjacent to selected marshes. So, and establish permanent transects within the marshes where detailed elevation and vegetation surveys will be undertaken. So, you know, and he says in possibly decades, so it may go on for a while. But like I said, you know, you can see them, they're just,
Marker.
little, yeah, like a little pipe, you know. And because they'll be coming here first, you'll get more information on the exact
Will
thing.
this be Joe Costa doing this
It's
presentation?
Joe Costa, yeah. And I got an email from him today, saying that he tried to get in there, he wanted to, you know, put flags in, you know, check out where the best spots would be and stuff. And, he couldn't get in because Mark Cinerizio had a gate across his
Right.
place, you know.
Mhm.
So hopefully Mark isn't out of town. He is? Aruba again.
I think so, yeah.
With
Why
Mary.
not?
Oh, that's nice, an actual family thing
I
this
heard
time,
that
huh?
last week.
Yeah, I think it goes for like 10 days.
Yeah, I guess he's got a friend who's
Makes
there.
sense to me.
Okay, so when he gets back,
Yeah, that's a mark.
I'll contact him and have him, you know,
I know.
open the gate.
She's so funny. She's so
So this is near the conservation restriction,
funny.
right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like that area.
That name that guy was talking about tonight. This is Tom.
Okay, beside it.
Okay, so that's
This is,
them.
used to be.
Oh, yeah,
Or
and
was it?
the last thing I have is the community preservation application,
Mhm.
which are due, I guess, in February sometime. Do you remember that? The what? Wasn't when a community preservation application, well, deadline for spring 2019 town meeting is January 29th. So if you guys have any thing in mind, you know, that might be a good CPC project, let us know, and we'll get this in.
What is that?
Because Heidi and I are on that.
You guys are both on it? Oh, all right,
Yes.
so,
Community Preservation Act money,
Yeah, because you're
so that
conservation and
can
I
go
think I'm a
towards
president. How's that?
conservation projects.
oh,
I
that's
believe.
great.
Or
Okay.
no,
If we can
I think
of
selectmen
anything that
What
would
are some
warrant
examples?
for conservation, yeah.
And it could be
I mean,
even
preservation.
The selectmen
signage
appointed you?
on
Yep.
conservation property,
Yep.
purchase of actual property.
It's on our website.
Yeah.
Verify it.
Yeah.
Wanna read it?
So you have
Okay,
to
just
write
like
a
an
letter,
introduction.
Anything to enhance the town.
Mhm.
like a grant.
So then,
Well-
so you do an
They
application
just,
to
they have
the,
monies to give, to things to enhance the
Yeah.
town.
It's
And
actually been a
the
great
history of the town.
thing.
and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Question
it's
is, it
fun.
really has.
We haven't met
Yes.
in a while, but it's a fun,
I know.
because we get up.
Mhm.
We've been, it's just a great thing.
Yeah, we have,
So positive and
Yeah.
fun,
yeah.
like you said.
And the coalition ends up getting a lot of Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
But then that's, you know, they all, they
But
buy
it's-
all these properties.
And they do a great job,
Yeah, exactly.
always.
That's what we're here for.
Our resources. Okay. What else
So,
we
I
got?
think that's all I have.
Anybody else's business for the commission? Suggestions, projects, things coming up?
Mark has officially written his,
Yes.
Yes, Mark is officially out.
So that's right, so we do have an opening on the commission.
Yes, we
If
do.
you're interested, contact the agent, contact the selectmen, because ultimately they will have to appoint you. So meeting second Tuesday, fourth Tuesday of every month, 6 PM right here. And probably the best part is you get to visit all these sites and see parts of town you never knew actually existed,
Yeah.
unless you live there. And then at some point we'll get notice from MACC about the annual conference.
Yes, I was gonna dig that out today, but they haven't sent us anything yet. I
They
don't
have
think.
something going on tomorrow. I just got the email today and it's tomorrow. I think at 11. I don't
What
know
is
if
it?
I believe
Video
it. Something
teleconference or
about-
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, it's a, like a webinar kind of
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
and it's at noon.
Checking out the-
At noon.
I think I delayed
that
it.
convention was nice last year.
Yeah,
For me, it
That's
kind of gives you a grasp of what,
usually it's
all
the
the
first
conservation
weekend.
is
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last weekend.
Are you
Certainly
talking
was
about
last
going
year.
in Worcester?
The tree fell
Yeah.
in my house.
Oh, you went? Good.
yeah,
Good for
we-
you.
Everett and
Yep.
Mary Lou and Heidi.
I've been many times.
Mhm.
That's the best one ever.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
and they'll be asking for registration pretty soon. I would
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she lets us know.
No, that was a nice, it was very educational, a lot
Oh, yeah.
of people there you can talk to.
Mhm.
Yeah, the exhibit hall is packed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a great job. They
Great.
really do. And Holy Cross is beautiful.
Yeah.
Steve,
Okay.
oh, beautiful.
Yes.
All right, anybody else then? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
No, someone has to make the motion.
I'll make a motion to,
Thank you. And a
I'm
second,
still
please.
looking for this thing.
I second
All
that.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 6:33.